Hi, welcome to Caleb's Bible study. Let me ask you a question. What if I told you God warned Israel about Solomon's failure 400 years before Solomon was ever born? Most people think God reacts to our mistakes. But Deuteronomy 17 shows us something very different. God prepares us long before we fail. Let's look at it. In Deuteronomy 17, verse 14 to verse 20, Moses is speaking to Israel on the plains of Moab. They have not entered the promised land yet. They have no king. But God already tells them, one day you will ask for a king. That moment would not happen until about 350 years later, when Israel demanded a king like the other nations in 1 Samuel. God saw it coming. He was not surprised. And he gave them instructions in advance. Think of this. When you were a child, your mom, in the kitchen, your mom told you, saw that pot, it's hot, it will burn you if you touch it. And you went, you touch it, you cry. It's hot, it burns. It's quite similar to that. God told the nation of Israel 350 or 400 years way before all this thing happened, do not touch the pot. You will ask for a king, and this is the instruction I'm giving to you, to the king, so not to make such blunder. And it came through. It's quite interesting. So God saw it coming. God was not surprised. He gave them instructions in advance. That alone is powerful, but we don't hear. So God often warns us long before the test arrives. Now here's the second thing. God told the future king never to return Egypt to buy horses. There's a reason. So why? Why God told them not to return to Egypt to buy horses? Nothing wrong with horses. But in the ancient world, horses meant military power. And Egypt was a superpower of that time. They were the main supplier of horses and chariots. But Egypt also represented something deeper. God delivered Israel from Egypt. So going back to Egypt was not just a trade decision. It symbolized reversing redemption. It meant depending on human strength instead of God's covenant faithfulness. God wanted their victory to come from obedience, not alliances. And this applies to us. How? You see, when pressure comes, where do we run first? To strategy? To connections? To visible strength? There's nothing wrong with wisdom or support, but dependence must start with God. When we replace spiritual dependence with human dependence, we slowly remove God from the center. It happens so often. It happens again and again. Unfortunately, we as human beings, we often forget God. Why? Many reasons. But one of the takeaway through my own observation about life is what we don't see, we don't remember. So God is invisible. He is a supernatural being. We don't see him through the naked eye, like friends, like system that we receive support from. They are physical, they are visible. So we tend to go to them more than go to God, who is invisible. But when we learn to always go back to God first, it so happens he is the most powerful. But if we learn to go to God first, we always run to God first, the outcome could be different, could be very, very different. So, in time of pressure, let's go to God first. All right? Seek His counsel. Learn to depend on the most powerful force, God Himself. And the third warning, the king must not accumulate excessive silver and gold. Nothing wrong with being rich, being wealthy. In fact, God was the one that strongly believed His children is meant to be rich, wealthy, and powerful. But to accumulate excessive amount is something which we need to rethink. We need to be careful about. And here is where it gets serious. Solomon, the wisest king, he received 666 talents of gold every year. How much is that? 1 talent is about 34 kilograms. That means Solomon received over 22 metric tons of gold annually. That's a lot. And this is not just for the nation, for himself alone. 22 metric tons of gold annually. That's crazy. Do you know how much is that? In today's value, there is roughly over 1.4 billion US dollars per year in gold alone. 1.4 billion US dollars per year. Why do we need so much money? Why do we so much? And this is just one stream of income for Solomon. That is not national treasury. That was personal accumulation. And in Deuteronomy, God warned the king about centuries earlier. Why? Why? Because wealth has gravity. It pulls the heart. The danger is not about having money. The danger is loving it. And Solomon completely in love with wealth, power, and he fell. From then on, he fell. So it's not money that is evil. It is the love of money. It becomes a corrupting force to our heart. And the fourth warning was about multiplying wives. One wife is more than enough. It's good. But Solomon has hundreds, if not thousands. It's too much. And again, Solomon violated this in his heart, and his heart was eventually turned away from God and turned towards wealth, power, wives, concubines, you name it. And here's the pattern. God warned about kings. God warned about Egypt. God warned about wealth. God warned about wives long before failure ever happened. So what does this mean for us today in this modern time? God does not just correct us, He prepares us. The question is not whether God speaks. The question has always been, do we take His warning seriously before success tests our character? Maybe the real issue is not future temptation. Maybe the real issue is present alignment. Are we aligning our values now? Are we building dependence on God now? Because the decisions we ignore today may become the downfall we regret tomorrow. And often we don't see that. We could read the notice. This is something which we should not do. We could read it today, but do we actually take heed? Do we actually align our value to that instructions? We don't. Most of the time, we don't until we become tested, until we realize, hey, that is something which we are not supposed to do. Is it too late? No. No. The key is always about repentance. Just go back to God and say, sorry, I learned something. Would you forgive me and would you lead me forward? Would you pull me out from that pit hole? I just wish more and more of us will realize sooner than not at all. And building dependency on God should always be our daily habit. Always go back to God. Always just go back to God and discuss matter with Him and stand from His perspective and rethink about life and re-look at what everything we are doing now. It's a decision aligned with God. Often than not, when decisions we ignore today will or may become the downfall we regret tomorrow. It happens so often. And that is Deuteronomy 17. It happened 350 to 400 years before all these things happened. And God is very merciful. God is very gracious. God saw the future and He prepared us now. So it's not just a history, but preparation. So let me know what stands out to you from this short Bible study. And I'll see you in the next Bible study. Bye-bye.